Hello, I'm Michael with Entertain Me TV Show Reviews, and this is the audible review for Gold Rush Season 3, Episode 13, The Nightshift. 4 months into the 5 months mining season, the Hoffman crew is running hard at Indian River. Despite their total of 277 ounces of gold, they still need 98 ounces just to break even, let alone hitting that 1000 ounces season goal, which they're 723 ounces short of. For the Hoffman crew to reach their season goal, Todd has to come up with a new mining plan. He proposes to Dave Turin that he starts a night shift so that they can keep the watch plan Big Red running as much as possible. Dave's concerned about the watch plan not being able to run for that long. The last thing he wants is for the watch plan to break down. Last week, Todd shut down his Quartz Creek operation and moved all his equipment and men to Indian River to work alongside with Dave Turin and his crew. Together they managed to get 46 ounces of gold in a week, which is 17 ounces less than Team Turin's best week. Over the season, Team Turin has fine-tuned their watch plan. It consistently produces 1 ounce of gold for every 10 buckets of good pay dirt. To succeed this season, Todd needs to double the amount of buckets that they run through the watch plant, and he wants to prove that his crew is at least as good as Dave's crew. The day shift ran 124 buckets of pay dirt through the wash plant. The night shift, though, wants to run 200 buckets through it. 4 months into the mining season, the Yukon nights are getting longer. Facing a 12-hour shift, Todd sets a goal of 17 buckets an hour. Within hours, the fast pace starts taking its toll on the wash plant, but Todd refuses to stop for anything. The water is starting to sweep away the ground under the sluice boxes, but Todd doesn't have time to stop. They have to keep running. The hopper feeder belt suddenly seizes up, forcing Todd to shut down the wash plant. 3,000 pounds of hydraulic pressure is building up on the jammed conveyor. The crew has to remove the rock to relieve the pressure, or they'll destroy the conveyor. They manage to remove the rock, and they get the conveyor belt running again. After running hard for 12 straight hours, dawn marks the end of Team Todd's first night shift. In their first shift, Todd's crew has run a record 1,400 yards through the wash plant. Down in Alaska, Fred Hurd is digging gold-rich pay dirt at Porcupine Creek. The Dakota boys have spent the last month on the hunt for what they think is an ancient waterfall. The deeper they've gone in their pit, the better the gold has become. Fred is following the grey material as he digs down, so he's been so focused on getting the dirt, he's missed something. 1,000 years ago, a river ran through the valley, forming cracks in the bedrock of the river. The cracks can act as a natural riffle, trapping gold as it flows down the river. Melody explores the big cracks in the bedrock wall of the glory hole. If Melody is right, the cracks could contain thousands of dollars in gold. Fred doesn't buy it. He just wants to keep digging down. To dredge in the glory hole, they'd have to flood it with water, but then they'd use a suction hose to vacuum the gold and the silk out of the cracks. This material then travels through a floating sluice box, which traps the gold. But a glory hole full of water will prevent Fred from digging. Dustin wants to bring in a dredge to vacuum the gold out of the crack. Back up at Indian River, Team Todd's night shift is finished and Team Turin takes over. They arrive to a nasty surprise. Todd's night shift watched the base out from under the sluice box, determined to run more dirt than Team Turin. Todd refused to stop his shift to fix the problem. The wash plant could easily fall into the pond. Team Turin can't start their day shift before they pack rocks back under the base of the 15,000-pound sluice box to keep it from sinking. But the time it takes to fix this is money straight out the pocket. They test the fix by turning on the water, but they won't know whether it works until it gets the full weight of the water and the pay dirt running through the wash plant. It appears to be working as it should. To have any hope of reaching their 1,000-ounce goal, Team Turin has to keep up with Team Todd. But it's taken Team Turin half their shift just to clean up Todd's mess. Down at the Big Nugget mine in southeast Alaska, Parker Snubble is ready to mine his new ground, the Discovery Claim. With just months left in the season, Parker is still 96 ounces or $150,000 from breaking even for the season. The Discovery dig site has to pay off or else Parker will lose money for the second season in a row. 2 weeks ago, Parker discovered that Emerson Trench, the last remaining ground on Big Nugget, was a bust. Out of option, Parker leased the Discovery claim. It was on this claim that in 1898 the first Porcupine Creek gold was found. Parker's plan is to haul 20 loads of dirt to his wash plant each day, but Discovery claim lies up a dangerous mountain road that snakes its way 300 feet off from Big Nugget. Parker is ready to bring down his first load in an almost 20-year-old loader which weighs 80,000 pounds when it's fully loaded. On the other side of the road there's danger. One side there's bedrock wall which could slice through his tires, and on the other side there's a 300-foot cliff which drops down to the creek below. Halfway down, Parker scrapes his tires into the bedrock wall, and if he goes just 6 inches to the other side he could tip over the cliff. Parker makes it safely past, but next he has to back up to a 100-foot cliff to dump his load down the hillside, so that they can use the loader to carry it to the wash plant. Less than a mile from Big Nugget, over at Porcupine Creek, Dustin is heading back to the claim rather excited. Dustin has just spent $2,000 of his own money on a gold dredge to get the gold in the glory hole bedrock wall cracks, which Melody discovered not long ago, but Fred is still not excited about using a dredge because he can't dig at the same time. Dustin though insists that they go for the gold in the cracks with the dredge. Dustin is nervous about the dredge, since he has never used one before. Dustin has flooded part of the glory hole so Fred can no longer dig, but before Dustin can get to work with the dredge, he and Melody has to carefully move it to the bottom of the glory hole. If they damage the floats on the sidewall, the dredge will be rendered useless. They manage to eventually place it into the flooded glory hole. Dustin fires up the dredge vacuum, and Melody gets to work on sucking out the dirt inside the bedrock cracks. The vacuum is rated for 30 feet and can easily vacuum up gold from deep within the cracks. Unable to mine, Fred can only stand and watch. After 4 hours of dredging, both Dustin and Melody has had enough. The water is frigid cold due to it being mountain runoff. Back over at the Big Nugget mine across the creek from Porcupine Creek, Parker Snobbert is feeding his first pay dirt from the Discovery claim into his wash plant. Not long in, one of the blades from inside Parker's trommel tumbles out of the end. They have to shut down the plant to check out the damage done and to repair the damage as well. Parker is clearly frustrated about the situation, but he has no choice but to weld the blade back into the trommel, even though it's not the preferable fix. He'll only know if it works when it once again can handle the large Big Nugget rocks. They fire up the wash plant once again and load dirt into the plant. The fix appears to be working perfectly. Back over at Porcupine Creek, Fred Hurt is frustrated. Dustin and Melody's idea of dredging the cracks in the bedrock wall has prevented Fred from digging pay dirt out of the glory hole. They're now lifting the dredge back out of the water, down deep in the glory hole. Up in the gold tent, Melody is panning the material from which they got from the dredging. The material will prove whether her idea of dredging the cracks was a good idea, and from what she's seeing, Fred believes his own words. Fred is rather impressed with the take, as Dustin and Melody shows him. They head on inside the cabin to weigh up the gold. Last week, they pulled a record high 28 ounces worth $44,000 in 5 days of running gray material. This cleanup is just from a single day of dredging. The total take for the dredging is 14 ounces worth over $20,000, not bad for only a day of dredging. Back up north at Indian River, the Nightshift is ready to go. The previous night they managed to load 200 buckets through the wash plant, and this night they want to do even better. There's a slight problem though. Since the day shift has to fix Todd's mistake, they didn't manage to stockpile enough pay dirt for the feed the night shift. Todd has Kevin get pay dirt from the bench cut. As Kevin has a truckload, he has to back it up to the 50-foot clip and dump it down to the wash plant. That's something he hasn't done yet in the middle of the night. Kevin can't see the back wheels, so he has no way of knowing if he's close to the edge. An inch too far and he could fall down the cliff in his 40-ton rock truck, down 5 stories into a vault in the loader. Todd pushes Kevin to keep getting the pay dirt down, but eventually Kevin snaps and starts an argument with Todd, though later he agrees to keep going with Walt as his spotter. Despite the risks, the night shift is back on track. Down in southeast Alaska at the Big Nugget Mine, Parker Snobble is about to find out whether the discovery claim were a good idea. He is ready for his first clean out of the wash plant with dirt only from the discovery claim. He needs the dirt to pay off as he spent $10,000 on fuel this week just to haul dirt down the road. Right off he spots a lot of gold on the top when he checks out the sluice box, and he calls over the crew to see. The entire crew is amazed by the amount of gold in the sluice. These recent weeks Parker has not found too much. The last 2 weeks he's only found 14.3 ounces of gold, worth less than $23,000. In just 1 week, Parker and his crew has cleared 43 ounces, which is worth almost $70,000. His total is now 135 ounces, worth $216,000. Back up at Indian River in the Klondike. Both the day and the night shift has been mining around the clock for a week. In 6 days they've run a massive 10,000 yards through the wash plant. Now it is time to find out if adding the night shift was a wise move. They remove the miner's mud from the sluice boxes and take it over to Jack in the gold tent. Jack then processes the concentrate, cleans the gold and weighs it. The crew is positive that this cleanup will be a big one. Jack finishes weighing up the gold and heads for the campfire, where the entire Hoffman crew is gathered. He pulls out a jar from the truck which contains 100 ounces of gold. He then pulls out a second jar from behind his back containing 37 ounces of gold. The total take for the week, with running the day and night shift, is 137 ounces, worth a whopping $219,200. The Hoffman crew is now at 414 ounces for the season so far, which is worth $662,400, which means that the Hoffman crew is now past their break-even point, and every single ounce of gold they'll pull from the ground is straight into their own pockets. But they still have a long way to go to get their 1,000 ounce goal, with only 1 month left in the mining season. So this was the audible review for Gold Rush Season 3, Episode 13, The Night Shift. Thanks for listening.